Choosing Family by ginnyrules27. Chapter 16. Mal had to give it to Evie. When she made a threat, she stuck to it. With all the excitement of bringing Jay into the fold and teaching him how to sword fight, something Harry was all too eager to do, even though that may have been due to the fact that Jay was a beginner and not because Harry just wanted to teach. Mal had forgotten about her little head-to-head with Blueberry. The days passed by, and all too soon the princess's birthday had arrived. It seemed like everyone on the Isle had been invited to the 6-year-old's party. Everyone but Mal, that is. That's okay. I didn't want to go to Blueberry's dumb party anyway, Mal thought as she stared out from the balcony of Maleficent's castle. One of the few mornings she opted to stay around the dragon. Using a discarded telescope that had made its way from Borodon, Mal could see that the guests were getting animals as party favours. Cats and eels and all sorts of creatures would find their way to new homes. Mal rolled her eyes and put the telescope down. Jay, Uma and Harry had all gotten invitations too. Harry had to go because his dad was attending, but Jay and Uma had offered to skip it once they realised that Mal hadn't gotten an invite. She had told them not to, but there was no reason for them to be miserable just because she hadn't gotten an invitation. That being said, that same day, Mal and Uma had unleashed hell on Blueberry with their stash of smoke bombs. Her skin matched her hair. That's how many blue smoke bombs they ended up pelting her with. Then again, her hair had several spots of purple hue based solely on the fact that they had to dip into their stash of purple smoke bombs. The princess had run off before they had been able to use any of the red ones, but the Isle was only so big. There was definitely a chance they'd run into her again. Oh, Mal almost counted on it. You're not getting away with insulting me like that. It was bad enough when I thought I was the only one of my crew not to get an invite. But to be the only one out of the Isle! Oh, Blueberry, you should watch your back, Mal thought with a small nod of her head. Still, she wasn't going to lie. It stung watching everyone else have fun at the party. Even if she was just there with Uma, Harry and Jay, it would be better than being at Maleficent's by herself. Hearing movement in the other room, Mal quickly left the balcony. She knew what Maleficent would say if she saw her moping over not getting an invitation to Evie's party. Parties are for the rabble. Yeah, you say that now, Maleficent, but who was it who cursed a baby because they didn't get invited to a party? Mal scoffed as she made her way to the front door of Maleficent's castle. Thankfully, the dragon had been tormenting the goblins all morning, so she hadn't paid any attention to Mal. The last thing Mal wanted was to try to come up with a passable lie as to why she wasn't at Evie's party. She wasn't feeling well. Maleficent would call her weak and order her to go. Tell the truth and say Evie didn't invite her? If Evie was lucky, Maleficent would just accuse Mal of lying and tell her to go anyway. If Blueberry wasn't lucky, well, it was hard to say what the dragon would do. Say she got an invite and didn't feel like going? Mal would definitely end up getting one of Maleficent's lessons on not making a fool out of her in front of the others of the Isle. There wasn't anything good that would come out of Maleficent finding out. Thankfully, Mal knew that she had other places that she could go, where she wouldn't have to stare at Blueberry's party. In another life, one where she was raised in Borodon, Mal would probably have run down the street towards her dad's place. But this was still the Isle. Running was only acceptable if you were being chased, or if someone had just been stabbed. An occurrence that was more common than one might think. Obviously, Mal wasn't being chased, and unless someone had been stabbed and she just didn't know, she couldn't use that excuse. So Mal walked, the empty streets being a godsend in that she wasn't delayed in getting where she wanted to go. Hello? Mal called softly. There was no response, but that didn't mean anything. Mal had been over enough by now to know that her dad was probably just deeper in the underworld, and Lady Steph was probably waging war with the dishes that had piled up again. Chuckling a little at the mental image of a goddess waging war against a sink full of dishes, Mal walked deeper into the underworld. silence was a bit unnerving. Usually either her dad or Steph would have come out to say hello by now. "Hello?" Mal called again as she walked into the den. The only thing she managed to do was startle Virgil, who had been sitting on the sofa. Mal rolled her eyes. "You didn't hear the door?" she asked him. Headphones," Virgil said softly. Even without music. It dampens most noise." Mal shook her head, but couldn't help a small smile. The jury was still out on whether or not Virgil was her cousin, so he wasn't in the loop in terms of Mal's relation to Hades. But Mal didn't really care about all that. The timid 8-year-old never treated her like she was an outsider, barging into his turf. "What brings you here, Mal?" Virgil asked, taking off his headphones while they were talking. Mal shrugged. "Blueberry's having a birthday party," she said before looking at Virgil. "Why aren't you there?" Virgil chuckled. "No invite," he told her, and Mal felt a small rush of anger towards the wannabe princess. It was one thing to insult her, but Virgil was another thing. Even if he didn't know or care about Evie, it would still bother the older boy. Then again, Virgil's not a prince, or even the son of a high-end villain. He's the son of a minion, and everyone knows those kids are on the lower end of the Isle's totem pole. "Why aren't you there?" Virgil asked softly, but seemed to grow silent when Mal looked over at him. No, never mind." Mal shrugged again before sighing. She could tell Virgil. He was the only kid on the Isle who wouldn't blab to anyone. Mainly because he'd spent a week overthinking whether or not it was a good idea before he did so, but regardless. "You and I could form a club," Mal told him, sitting down on the sofa. "The only 2 kids not to be invited to Blueberry's party." Virgil gave her a small smile. "Maybe your invite just got lost in the mail, Mal." Sure." "Virg, Maleficent and the Evil Queen have had a rivalry since the Isle was founded," Mal scoffed. "I'm sure the princess thinks I'm in her rightful spot or something. The daughter of the ruler of the Isle." Sighing, Mal looked at the older boy. Not to sound like Maleficent or anything, but the little bluette invited everyone else. Everyone, Virgil. Jay, Harry and Uma all got invites too. I mean, not that I wanted to go, but still. Virgil frowned a little bit, but didn't comment, choosing to let Mal rant. It was rare that Mal actually let loose like this, and it was probably only because there was no one else in the room. "And they're getting pets! Can you believe it?" Mal asked, breaking Virgil out of his thoughts. "What?" Mal nodded. "Yeah, pets. Now every kid's going to know I wasn't there, since I won't have one either. All that'll do is increase the chance of Maleficent finding out there'd been a party I wasn't invited to. Blueberry had better hope I can hide the lesson Maleficent will teach me for letting the Evil Queen embarrass her like this," Mal thought with a small frown. Who does Blueberry think she is?" Mal sighed. "I'm guessing someone who's going to quickly learn not to mess with you," Virgil asked softly. Mal nodded. "Oh, the next time I see that little Blueberry, she'll be so covered in smoke bomb smoke she'll be blind," she growled, not noticing her anger that Virgil hadn't stuttered. "I'll get Uma involved too. Blueberry won't know what hit her." The pelting Evie would get would make the one she got when Uma, Harry and Jay found out look tame. Hopefully Blueberry enjoys red hair for a while, because she'll be hit with so many of Harry's smoke bombs that she'll have to. Mal shook her head slightly, not wanting to get too angry. She might take it out on Virgil, which she didn't want. Virgil was letting her rant to him. He didn't ask to have her bite his head off. Besides, she didn't want to risk admitting how much being left out had actually hurt. Virgil got up from the sofa, catching Mal's attention. "Well, wait here, Mal," he told her, the stutter returning, but not as bad as it had been before, and he quickly rushed over to his room. Hades wasn't horrible, after all. His minions deserved a place to crash if they got overworked, and errand rats fell under the minions category. Not to mention Virgil was 8. There were some days where it was just too dark at the end of the day to let him head back to Vanessa, if panic worked past sunset. Walking back into the den, Virgil held up a can of what looked like liquid, but the solid nature of the can made it hard to tell. "Let's have a rent party," he said. "What's that?" Mal asked, raising an eyebrow. "I found it when I was scoping out the barge," Virgil said, setting the can down on the table in front of him. "The can caught my eye. The bright red seemed out of place. I think it might be a Borodon drink." Mal paused, looking over at the older boy. "You'd trust something from Borodon?" "If you don't trust it, I'll take the first sip," he told her, shrugging a little. Mal shook her head. No. I just mean, what's the catch?" "No catch, Mal," Virgil told her. "Just something that I thought might brighten your day." "You deserve to have a party too," he said, holding up the can for her to take. "It's something Blueberry doesn't get to have. Besides, you might like it, and if you don't, just spit it out." Mal nodded and took the can, still a little unsure, but trusting her gut. Virgil wouldn't give her something dangerous on purpose. Opening the can, Mal took a small sip of the liquid inside. Her eyes widened as the liquid touched her tongue. "It's sweet," she said after she swallowed. "It's like a sweet version of the bottled water Lord Hades has in his restaurant." "Is sweet good?" Virgil asked. "It's very good," Mal said with a grin, taking another small sip. Virgil returned the grin and his shoulders sank in relief. "Oh, good," he said. "Hang on, I'll get you a cup," Mal said, setting the can down. "If this is supposed to be our party, I shouldn't be hugging the drink." "Okay," Virgil said softly, as Mal walked into the kitchen. To her surprise, Hades and Persephone were in there, and they seemed to be deep in conversation, though it stopped once Mal walked in. "Mal, honey," Persephone said, her tone hesitant, as if she didn't want to have the conversation. "Can I, have a word with you?" Sure, Lady Steph," Mal said, walking up to her. She wasn't really in the mood to talk, but this was Steph. "What's up?" Persephone let out a small sigh before looking at the young purple-haired girl. "Sweetie, there's no easy way to say this, but I have to leave." Mal froze, unsure of what Persephone meant by that. "Like go to the docks?" she asked, hoping that's what Steph meant. "No, honey," Persephone said with a small, sad smile. "I have to go back to Oridon." "What?" Mal exclaimed. "Way to make a horrid day worse," she thought with a small frown. "Mal, I can't do this," Mal muttered, shaking her head. "First Blueberry's party and now this. I have to get out of here." Rushing out of the kitchen, past Virgil, who was still in the den, Mal set her sights for the clubhouse. The one place that wouldn't ruin her day. Granted, it'd be because no one would be in there, but that didn't matter. Shaking her head, Mal shoved down the frustration she was feeling. She would never admit it out loud, but amidst the frustration, she felt a tiny bit of sadness too. Of course Steph was leaving. Why wouldn't she? She had the chance to go to Borodon after all. What was Mal compared to that? Reaching the clubhouse, Mal threw a rock to open the gate. No one ever need know it took more than one try due to the tears welling in Mal's eyes. Racing up the stairs, Mal burst into the clubhouse, shaking, wrapping her arms around herself to try to stop the tears that were threatening to fall. Mal sat down on one of the milk crates. She should have known it was too good to last. But did it have to happen the same day as Blueberry's party? Couldn't the fates have given her one blow today? "Oh, Mal, honey, sweetheart, let me explain." "Steph?" Mal exclaimed, looking up upon hearing her stepmother's voice. "How'd you get up here?" Persephone didn't answer, but gave Mal a sad smile as she knelt down, wrapping her arms around the young girl. She had followed Mal as soon as the young girl rushed out of the kitchen and had seen Mal throw the rock to open the gate. But even if she hadn't seen her, Persephone did have eyes. She would have seen the small rock pile by the falling rocks sign, and may have put two and two together. They should have furniture in here, if this is going to be Mal's hideout, Persephone thought, as she glanced around the room. At the very least, chairs instead of milk crates. Mal, honey, it's not forever, Persephone told her, breaking herself out of her thoughts. It's just for 6 months, and then I'll be back. Why? Mal whispered. Well, what did I do? She didn't mean to voice her insecurities, but there was only so much a girl could take in a day before it became too much. Oh, Mal, Persephone said with a small, sad smile, as she brushed a bit of hair out of Mal's eyes. You didn't do anything. This has been the arrangement since the Isle was created. It's the deal Zeus made with King Beast and my mother. Stupid deal, Mal muttered. Why can't you just stay here all the time? What can King Beast even do if you refuse to leave? You're a goddess after all. Persephone sighed. It's the way the deal is set up, Mal. Besides, we got lucky in its setup. The deal could be worse. I could not be allowed to see you two at all. No! Mal exclaimed before she could stop herself, her eyes widening and shaking her head a little. I know, sweetie, said Persephone softly. 6 months isn't much, but it's better than nothing, right? But, Mal said softly. She hated feeling like this, but she couldn't help it. I know, sweetheart, but I'll be back. I always am. Plus, I'll call on the portal every day I'm gone. Mal gave Steph a weak smile. It was a little reassuring to know that Steph would be in contact even if she wasn't there in person. Mal, I promise, 6 months will be over before you know it. And you will come back, right? Promise? Mal asked softly, looking up at her. I promise, sweetheart, Persephone said with a small nod. I'm just sorry I'll be missing your birthday. Mal shrugged. My birthday doesn't really matter. It does to us, Mal, Persephone said with a small frown. She hadn't expected Maleficent to make a huge deal out of Mal's birthday, but from the sounds of it, the Fae just seemed to ignore it entirely. Mal shrugged again, and Persephone vowed that if she ever came face to face with Maleficent, the Fae wouldn't know what hit her. We'll do something special for your birthday when I get back. Okay, Mal? If you insist, Mal muttered, but couldn't help but smile a little at the idea of someone other than Uma and Harry celebrating her birthday. Persephone nodded. Now, how about we head back? I'm sure your father is wondering where we ran off to. Okay, Mal said softly. The two of them got up and started making their way back to the underworld. Persephone couldn't help but give Mal a small smile. I may be leaving the Isle, Mal, but I'm not leaving you, she thought. I would never leave you, and I never will. Persephone wanted to grab Mal's hand, to let her know that she would always be there. Normally, they wouldn't risk it, as Maleficent's spies were everywhere. However, today the streets were empty. Everyone was likely either at the Evil Queen's party for her daughter, or at Maleficent's likely getting yelled at for their latest incompetence. Gently taking Mal's hand, Persephone couldn't help but smile a little when Mal didn't pull her hand away. The two quickly made their way back to the underworld, where Hades had taken Virgil's place in the den. Looking up as his two girls walked in, Hades glanced at Persephone, as if silently asking her a question. I told her, Persephone said softly as Mal gave Hades a small, sad smile that Hades returned. Hey, Mally, you want to have a spray paint lesson? Hades asked, thinking that might cheer the younger girl up. He didn't even notice he had referred to her by that nickname he had given her as a baby. Really? Mal asked as she perked up a little at the thought of the offer. She had found near-empty cans of the stuff on boats that came from Oridon, but there wasn't anything that really made an impact. Besides, the little squirts she did get out were just ignored by Fred Frollo's gang as they marched into her territory. There was no way to secure full cans of spray paint, but it might be something they were able to make. Yeah, Hades said, nodding his head a little as he smiled. Okay. Hades and Persephone couldn't help but chuckle a little at Mal's reaction. Come on, Hades told her, walking out to the den as Mal trotted after him, a small smile on her face. Persephone shook her head in amusement. While she wasn't entirely thrilled of the idea of Mal being so close to those chemicals, it would be okay as long as Hades was there with her. Well, time to prepare for another 6 months in Oridon. Persephone sighed. There wasn't really so much to do for her to prepare, for her Oridon clothes were in a closet in her apartment off the Isle. All the preparation was really mental, in getting used to not having Hades and now Mal around. Though, now I can look into getting a certain 4-legged present for Mal, Persephone thought as she left the den. She and Hades had heard bits and pieces of Mal's rant to Virgil while they were in the kitchen. After the life Mal had had so far, it was safe to say she deserved to be spoiled as much as they could do so on the Isle. Mal was her daughter. Persephone may have to miss Mal's birthday because of the agreement, but that didn't mean she wouldn't make it up to Mal when they saw each other again. End of chapter. Hi guys, hope you enjoyed that. A both lovely and sad one there. I love Virgil. He's trying to be like the timid big brother to Mal. That is so sweet. Horrible little meltdown, and oh Mal, I just want to give that girl a hug. She's only 5, guys. 5, and she's going through all this. And Persephone being the mum for Mal, even if it's not coming out in words yet, is so beautiful. Anyway, you guys know the drill. Like, comment and subscribe and hit that bell to get notified whenever I upload a new video. Have a good day, night, or whatever time zone you're in. Bye my guys, gals and non-binary pals. I'll see you in another video. Take care.